outside was freezing, smelling of dust and ancient. His flashlight beam cut through the heavy shadows, illuminating a grand, sweeping staircase and a massive grandfather clock in the corner. Strangely, the clock's pendulum was completely still, but began ticking loudly the moment Arthur closed the heavy front door behind him. Tick, tock, tick, tock. He set up his recording equipment in the old library. The room was lined with thousands of leather-bound books, their pages molding into dust. He sat at a heavy oak desk, turning on his audio recorder. Night 1 at Blackwood. He spoke into the microphone, his voice echoing in a vast, empty room. The atmosphere is tense, but so far no ghosts. As if responding to his words, the temperature plunged. Arthur could suddenly see his own breath misting in the flashlight beam. Then he heard a soft, rhythmic dragging sound coming from the floor directly below. Shooklack, shooklack. It sounded like someone walking over an iron chain. Arthur froze. He told himself it was just rats, or the old one settling. But the footsteps continued toward the staircase. They began descending. Step, step, step. He watched the doorway of the library, his heart hammering against his ribs. The footsteps reached the bottom of the stairs, turned into the hallway, and then stopped right outside the library. Silently, the heavy wooden door creaked open. Arthur shone his light into the hall. There was nothing there. He let out a shaky breath, turning back to his desk, and his blood went entirely cold. All the books on the shelves had been thrown out. Thousands of them lay scattered across the floor in perfect, geometric patterns. Sitting right next to his audio recorder was a small, porcelain doll. Its face was cracked, and its eyes were solid, glossy black. It hadn't been there a minute ago. Panic finally seized him. Arthur grabbed his camera